A fully loaded semi crests a mountain grade at highway speed and begins its descent. The weight behind it, 80,000 pounds of steel, fuel, and freight, starts to push. From the overpass above, a driver watches the truck slow down. And then something unexpected happens. A sound erupts from that truck that doesn't belong to a vehicle that's braking. It is thunderous, mechanical, rapid fire. A deep staccato roar that fills the canyon and bounces off the rock walls like something industrial is tearing itself apart. Every instinct says that sound is wrong. Loud engines accelerate. Quiet ones coast. This truck is clearly slowing down, and yet the noise is getting louder. It is not a malfunction. It is not a warning. What's happening under that hood is the only reason that truck is going to reach the bottom. Here is the assumption almost everyone carries. Brakes stop vehicles. Engines make noise when they're working hard. Both of those things are true in a car, and that is exactly why they fail here. A passenger car weighs around 4,000 pounds. A fully loaded semi weighs 20 times that. The physics are not just bigger, they are categorically different. On a long downhill grade, friction brakes alone cannot stop 80,000 pounds safely. Not because they're weak, because the energy has to go somewhere, and on a sustained descent, it turns into heat. Enormous, concentrated, destructive heat. The roar from that truck isn't power being put out, it's power being absorbed. Here's what's actually happening inside that engine. Under normal operation, the piston travels up and compresses air, fuel ignites, and the expanding gases push the piston back down. That's the power stroke. Every diesel engine runs this cycle thousands of times a minute. The Jacobs engine brake, the Jake brake, interrupts it at the worst possible moment for momentum, right at the top of the compression stroke. Just when all that air is maximally compressed and ready to fire, the exhaust valve opens and vents it. No combustion, no power. Instead of the compressed air pushing the piston down, the engine resists it going up in the first place. Each cylinder becomes a small air compressor running in reverse, generating braking force through the drivetrain. And when compressed air releases rapidly through an exhaust valve, 6 cylinders, 12 times a second, it makes a sound exactly like a machine gun. That sound is the system working. Now scale it up. On a 6% grade over 10 miles, an 80,000-pound truck generates enough thermal energy through friction braking to vaporize brake drums in under 10 minutes. Not wear them down, not overheat them. Destroy them. The Jake brake removes that problem entirely because there is no friction surface. No heat buildup. The engine absorbs the kinetic energy, distributes it across every cylinder, and dissipates it through the exhaust. The loudest truck on that mountain road is often the most controlled one. The quiet truck, the one using only friction brakes because the driver wanted to avoid the noise, is the one the engineers are worried about. Which brings up those signs. Almost every road through a residential neighborhood near a steep grade has one. No engine brake, no Jake brake. And when most people see those signs, they read them as noise ordinances, which they are. But here's the layer underneath. The Jake brake is not an amenity. It is the primary deceleration system for heavy freight on a downhill grade. Municipalities ban the noise without eliminating the gradient. That forces every driver who passes through into a genuine choice: obey the sign and use friction brakes, or use the Jake brake and wake up the neighborhood. Many drivers choose the brakes, technically quieter, technically more dangerous. Trained drivers sometimes violate posted signs on steep enough grades, and the engineering reason is completely sound. This is the behavioral paradox. The instinct is that noise signals danger. In this case, noise signals safety. A driver running a Jake brake on a descent is actively managing the truck's energy. A driver not running it is hoping the brakes hold long enough. Runaway truck ramps exist because that hope sometimes fails. Those gravel or sand-filled ramps cut into mountain highways aren't soft landings. They are last resort arresting systems. Entering one at speed destroys the truck, likely destroys the load, and can injure the driver. They are built because the alternative, a runaway semi on a public road, is catastrophically worse. Every runaway ramp is physical evidence of what happens when the deceleration system doesn't work or isn't used, and most of them are on roads with no Jake brake signs within a few miles. The engineer behind the Jacobs engine brake didn't set out to solve any of this. Clessie Cummins, the same engineer who refined the modern diesel engine, was thinking about engine preservation, not stopping power. His problem was simpler. When a loaded truck coasted downhill in gear, the engine would overspeed. The drivetrain was pushing the engine faster than it was designed to run, and that wore it out. His solution was to harness the compression cycle as a retarding force. The braking effect wasn't the invention, it was the consequence. The Jacobs engine brake was patented in 1961, and what began as a fix for engine longevity became the most important deceleration technology in freight transport. One engineer's side effect is now built into nearly every heavy diesel truck on the road. Once that history is in place, the visible clues start making sense. Every no Jake brake sign is a record of a civic decision, a community that chose ambient quiet over engineered safety margin, often without fully understanding what it was trading. The pop-pop-pop cadence of the sound itself is diagnostic. It's not random noise. The rhythm corresponds to the number of cylinders firing in compression release sequence. A 6-cylinder engine has a different beat than a 12-cylinder. Drivers can hear a Jake brake and roughly identify what's under the hood, and those runaway ramps, set back from the road, angled uphill, filled with deep gravel or sand, are not random highway features. They are mapped to the grades where the deceleration math gets dangerous. Their placement is a record of engineering risk assessment. The real-world picture is messier than the clean version. Jake brakes are less effective at low engine speeds. They need RPM to generate meaningful retarding force, which is why they're most useful on sustained descents and less useful for slow-speed urban stopping. On wet roads or ice, applying compression braking too aggressively can lock the drive wheels and cause a jackknife, especially with a lightly loaded or empty trailer. Drivers modulate the system in real time, adjusting intensity based on load weight, trailer condition, road surface, and grade. Modern trucks layer the Jake brake with exhaust brakes, transmission braking, and ABS. No single system handles everything. The Jake brake is the core of a stack, not a complete solution on its own. And the skill in running it well is something professional drivers spend years developing. Back to that truck on the mountain grade. It is roaring. The sound is filling the canyon. And now that sound means something completely different than it did at the top of this story. It means the engine is eating kinetic energy. It means the brake drums are cool. It means a driver made the right call. The loudest vehicle on that highway is the one most precisely in control of a physics problem that kills trucks that get it wrong. What sounds like aggression is thermal management. What sounds like malfunction is mastery. And there is one more layer. If diesel compression is what makes the Jake brake work, the question worth sitting with is what happens when that compression fails mid-descent? A cracked piston ring, a blown head gasket, a cylinder that drops out mid-grade. The retarding force drops with it, not all at once, not obviously, but enough to shift the math. And the driver may not know until the speed starts climbing. That story, the one about what happens when the system that saves the truck quietly begins to fail, is its own descent into a part of freight engineering most people never think about at all.